One of the best things about this film is the start.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Now, was I rushing or was I dragging?
The director, a man named Damien, Chazelle, he originally went to music school and he was a jazz drummer. So this entire film is based on his experience with a teacher that was similar to Fletcher. I think the stress was just too much for him. So he left and then he decided he's going to start making films. So there was no funding to make Whiplash. So he said to him, why don't you make a short? So they did that. They made the first band practice in Fletcher's studio band. For that, he was able to get J.K. Simmons to act, which was incredible for him because, J.K. Simmons was a huge...
In a short film?
Yeah, in a short film.
Wow.
That scene won an award at the Sundance Film Festival.
Yes.
And because of that, he was then able to acquire funding. And then after that, the film went on to make 50 million.
Wow.
They took 19 days, 19 days. That was the production of this film. J.K. Simmons won 47 awards for his role as Fletcher. 47 awards. Every week he would go to 3 drum practices for 4 hours each. Brilliant film. If you are a musician, you have to watch this film.
What if it didn't end there?
What if it didn't end there? Then what? What did you want to see? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. What is up?
What's going on?
This is the movie show.
Right here.
Yeah. My name is Sash.
And I am Tabo.
And I am super excited for the show.
Yes.
Because
why?
We are doing a review of the most incredible, most inspiring, most thrilling film
of recent times.
Of recent.
Yes.
No, actually, it's not that recent, which is weird because when this film first came out, which was around
2014.
I, at the time, knew a couple of drummers, and naturally, as they would, these guys were drooling over this film. All of them had watched it,
Oh, snap.
And then I don't know why I never did, but I heard about the film at that time. Then last year, there was a group of other guys that were like, "Oh, have you watched Whiplash?" I was like, "Okay." And then we decided to watch Whiplash, but I think one of the reasons I was like, let's do it, was recently we did The Gorge. Yeah. And in The Gorge, there was trivia where Miles Teller played drums at one point, which obviously was linked back to this film.
It's actually a scene in Gorge.
Yes, where they literally play drums. Yeah. Brilliant film. Brilliant film. If you are a musician, you have to watch this film. I watched it twice in 2 days.
Me too. Okay, wasn't 2 days for me.
I literally watched it
3 days,
and then I watched it again the next day with my mom.
Damn.
And she's not like, you have to really find a good film for her to sit down and watch.
Yeah.
I think one of the best things about this film is the start. This film starts like all films should start. It catches you literally in the first scene. You're hooked. And the director, he actually said that for him, the beginning of a movie is extremely important because it's when you still have the audience's attention. The lights in the cinema has just gone down.
Yeah.
This is it. You make it or you break it right here. And he did it very, very well. My
favorite part was when he walked in.
Who walked in?
When Fletcher walks in. Because instantly you sort of know that something's off about this guy. And then you see the nerves of Miles Teller. And then sort of... That sort of tells you the tone of the film.
Yeah.
Instantly with the first scene.
Yeah.
With that first scene.
So this film is mad. So they took 19 days and 19 days to that was the production of this film.
The entire movie.
One of the days they spent most of the day filming a scene that got cut from the film entirely. It just gave you some insight into Fletcher's character. Yeah. The director was like, nope, we mustn't know this much about this guy. So he cut it out completely. That was it was almost a full day's filming. They only had 19 days to film and they cut one of the days. Yeah, it's crazy. But how this film came about was the director, a man named Damien, Chazelle. He originally went to music school and he was a jazz drummer. So this entire film is sort of based on his experience with a teacher that was similar to Fletcher. I think the stress was just too much for him. So he left, and then he decided he's going to start making films. So that's when he started writing. And while he was in school, they wrote a script, but it was very, when you're just like, yeah, we're not going to be able to make this. So instead what he did was he wrote Whiplash. But then he was a little bit embarrassed to release it into the world. So he actually just put it away.
Yeah.
And he was just he met, and not Andrew, there's a director. His name's Reitman. He's the son of the man who made the original Ghostbusters film.
Wow.
The son said to Damien, why don't you, because he didn't have funding to make Whiplash. There was no funding to make Whiplash. So he said to him, why don't you make a short? So they did that. They made the first band practice in Fletcher's studio band that Andrew went to.
Yes.
They filmed that scene, which was also a very, very good scene. For that, he was able to get J.K. Simmons to act, which was incredible for him because, J.K. Simmons was a huge...
In a short film.
Yeah, in a short film.
Wow.
Also, for nothing. They got paid nothing for the film. The original drummer, he was in the short. And then I think he played the sax or the trumpet or something, the one that got kicked out.
Oh, yes.
He was also in the short.
Yes.
But other than that, I don't know how many of the other actors were actually in the shorts. I actually watched a video. It was very cool. What they do is they take the actual scene from the film and they take the shorts and they play it at the same time. You can see the slight differences. So in the shorts, sometimes they'll keep something going for a little bit longer. And then in the film, sometimes they'll keep something going for a little bit longer. But they basically filmed that scene. Then what happened was that scene won an award at the Sundance Film Festival.
Yes.
And because of that, he was then able to acquire funding. I think it was $3.3 million that he got for the film. And then after that, the film went on to make $50 million.
Wow.
So on a $3.3 million budget, when he had no funding for the film, and the only way he got funding was because he made a short of it and then won the award, they then made $50 million. Plus, on top of that, it won awards. J.K. Simmons won 47 awards for his role as Fletcher. 47 awards.
And because I only know about the Oscar.
And his first Oscar.
Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah. But he didn't, he was mad.
Yeah,
he was so good. His character was
insane.
He took it over the top.
What actually was nice for me, so one of the things that Miles Teller shared post, so this is now the interviews after the film, was for him the hardest thing to do, almost, he obviously said it as a joke, was to act as if he was scared of J.K. Simmons, because in real life he's such a softie and such a teddy bear,
which is weird because he never plays characters like that.
He doesn't even look like
just look at the man, you're
like in Spider-Man, he's there with that raspy
but
he did very, very well.
He did do well. And Miles Teller did well. In fact, when the director was writing the script, he was watching a film called...
Yes. I forgot the film's name, but wasn't it something along the lines of space or something?
Wasn't it Monkey something?
My gosh.
No, can't remember. But that was the first role that Miles Teller was in. It was his first film, and Nicole Kidman was actually in the film with him.
Yes, with him.
Yeah.
Yes,
and while the director was writing the script, he was watching this film on repeat. So when he wrote the role of Andrew, he literally wrote it for Miles Teller. The reason Miles Teller wasn't in the short film was because at the time they were filming Divergence. And there was a scheduling conflict. But then when they did start the film production, he said, I'm definitely getting onto the...
I actually think it's so cool how this director was also you're sort of ambitious in a way to get people like J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller on your first major film. It's insane.
And J.K. Simmons was still concerned because he was a good writer, but just because you're a good writer doesn't necessarily mean you'll be a good director.
Yeah.
So he was still nervous that this wouldn't work, but yeah. So this director also went on to make La La Land, which also won awards. La La Land was
insane.
I think he wrote La La Land. He might have written it before Whiplash, but obviously the production was too... And also people didn't think it would work, the actual concept of the film.
One thing I like about his scripts, right? They're very unique and original. But also what can happen is that some ideas can be obviously changed because obviously he doesn't have the funding and stuff like that. So they might say, take this out and take that out. So I think most of what he does sort of is nice, but maybe the final product isn't what he envisioned, because I'm sure that's sometimes what happens with films.
I don't know if the fact that I'm saying it is he cut an entire scene.
So you think some things he changes?
I
like
think
mid-
if he believes in something, he'll go for it, because the amount of, first of all, work that, I mean, they even edited the scene.
Yeah.
So that the amount of money that they would have spent on that scene, and yet it was, and it had just J.K. Simmons in it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like some directors now, I mean, that's like the biggest, the actor that's like got the most, he's the most known type of thing. Now you go and cut one of his scenes
Oh my
completely. Do
gosh.
you understand?
Well,
It's
like he's basically like soloed out.
yeah. So I don't know if he, I don't know if he's that type of person. I think he makes what he wants to make.
Do you think it worked out in the end that he didn't show that scene?
Yes. Why? Because, so the reason he didn't show it was he felt that Fletcher's character, you stopped being scared of him because now you kind of saw another side of him. That's mainly why people are often scared of other people, is just because they only have seen one side of them. They haven't seen the side of them, and they go home, they take off their jacket, they put on their favorite song, they make a cup of whatever, and they just sit there. That's not scary.
And there's a picture of the person's daughters there.
Yeah, you're not scared of that person. So, but he did say that what he was glad about was it still gives the actors the context that they need to do their roles the way they need to do their roles. So even though the scene is cut, it's not a waste, because the actors still lived that, if that makes sense. So they've got that context behind their character. So even though you haven't seen it as the audience, you get it from their acting. Miles Teller, so he was a drummer. He started drumming since the age of 15. But for this film, he was a jazz drummer, and he didn't, those are two very different things. Jazz drummers, it's a lot more technical than rock drumming. So he had to like hold the sticks differently. Every week he would go to 3 drum practices for 4 hours each. He put in a lot of work, but for the film, 40% of his drumming made it into the film. So they did get a professional drummer, but he actually, so 40% of the drums on the soundtrack is actually Miles Teller.
Yeah.
And then some of the blisters and blood that was portrayed in the film it wasn't makeup. It was real. It was like blisters that Miles had, and then they burst while filming. Gosh. And then Damien would sometimes not call cut, just so that he could get physically exhausted. So he would keep him going just so that he would literally actually physically get exhausted, and then
that was very nice, because I mean, you could sort of see, like I was while watching the movie, I didn't know that obviously Miles was actually drumming there.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, like, how do you make it look so real? Like, it looks so real. Even like as he plays, like you hear the sound as he plays. So to find out that it's actually real, I mean, that's
the music was really cool in the film as well.
No, it was.
And the way they shot the music, like that was the angles that they got, and even the lighting. So like the lighting was very high contrast lighting, and it was low lighting, which means there's parts of the frame that are dark.
Yes.
But the reason the cinematographer did that was he said he likes that because you can control what the audience is looking at them. Because if the whole frame is black and all you see is Tabo's face, your eye will naturally go to Tabo's face. But then also I thought this was clever at the beginning of the film when Fletcher's first introduced.
Yes.
He comes out of darkness, like literally it's dark, and then he comes and then he steps into the light. So like immediately they tell you this character's dark, just based on that,
just through lighting.
Yeah.
And also what I heard was if you look at the film, especially like in the studio rehearsals and stuff, the lighting is very yellow and orange, so it's like warmth, which they used to signify a sense of false warmth. So basically him being there, so we associate warm colors with like home feeling very loose and stuff like that, but actually in the studio, that was the place where he was feeling like the most pressure. That's the place that was the most intense. And then in the scenes where he's like with his family, they used a lot of cold colors, so like blues and stuff like that, which signified that when he was at home, he didn't feel that
at home.
Yes. Yeah. And plus with that family dinner where they're fighting with him and he's fighting back, feels like they don't quite understand him. Yeah. To me, I was like, wow.
The film was quite, it also, like, from a psychological perspective, was smart. Yeah. Because obviously, Miles Teller's character was wanting to be one of the greats. And Fletcher's character, so Fletcher was looking to create something great, someone great. And the whole thing is, if you want to be great, you can't be mediocre, because then you're not great, and you have to be willing to do what no one else is willing to do. That's what great people are willing to do. So there was the whole controversy of, like, when he started dating, or when he asked the girl out on the date, I was just like, don't do that, because that's not, he wasn't looking for a relationship. That's not what his desire was in life. His desire was to be the greatest drummer. So it was just like, and her desire was a relationship. Like, even in their conversation, she wasn't wanting to become the person that found a cure for cancer, or, you know, like, she didn't even know why she was studying what she was studying, type of thing. So yeah, but for me, I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I know a couple of people had an issue with the ending.
I was one of them.
Yeah, that it was a bit too abrupt. I was fine. For me, it was a perfect like arc. Like, even the fact that they started the film with that drum roll, that where he got really, really fast, that happened at the end of the film. Like, I picked that up, but also they both got what they wanted. Fletcher created him to be one of the greats, and he in that moment became one of the greats. So for me, I personally didn't have an issue with the ending, but that was just me. I was just like
satisfied.
But it was really good. It was very thought-provoking in terms of, if you want to do or be someone great or do something great, what are you prepared to give up? Because you have to give up something.
There is a lot of psychological torment. Physical torment that comes. The question is, do you want it enough?
Yeah. What do you want?
What do you want?
What do you want? So what if
it didn't end there?
What if it didn't end there? Then what? What would have happened, Tamo?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah, the thing is, so when you obviously shared that point of, like, the ending and why they did that, now it sort of makes sense, because you don't know, like, what else. So
Because storytelling is, at the end of the day, there's a character and they want something. And then you go on the journey to see, do they get what they want or not? And then when they've gotten what they want, like, where else do you go from there? You know, like, what did you want to see? Him in 5 years' time, still single, no kids. Like, no,
whoa.
I think for me, it would have been, this film, it couldn't have been better. Like, it literally, like, everything, the way it just worked out. Like, even when Fletcher, you know, when he has that conversation with him and he's now explaining why he pushed his students the way he did. I'm not condoning violence, but like, he 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Am I dragging or am I? But like, the fact that he said the guy that became great, he became great because he didn't get discouraged. So like, yeah, like that. And then at the end of the film, he had a moment to be discouraged.
Yeah.
Like, when he walks off stage, you're just like, oh man. So in that moment when he walked off stage, he could have like chosen, like, no, this is it, and gotten discouraged. But he decided, I won't get discouraged, and then walk back on. And
I was like, what is he going to do?
I know. And then what he did was wild.
Yes. Take over.
It was solid. Yeah, no, it was really
Fletcher,
good.
I was like,
no, but then he changed.
what are you doing?
And then he was like, okay.
Like, wait.
And then there was the close-up of the eyes. And yeah, no, brilliant film. Brilliant
sweat.
film. Yeah.
It was amazing.
So I would highly recommend you watch this film.
Please.
If you are a musician, you have to watch this film. In fact, I know, so my mom and dad are friends with a brilliant drummer. He's incredible. He stays in the UK. And he's played drums for the likes of Rihanna, stuff like that. Like, he really is the top class, like, drummer. Like, he's insane. And after watching it with me, she messaged him to say, have you watched Whiplash? And he literally was like, that is my go-to film. Like, I watch it at least, I can't remember how many, he says he's watched it so many times, and it's like,
tradition.
It's so inspiring. So really, like, if you're in anything that is art form, like, it's really good. And I think what I love about this film is it shows, in order to be great, you just have to keep on practicing.
That's it.
Like, literally, it shows you, and obviously you have to want it. You really, like Chris even said in our past interview, if oftentimes art is an industry that if you don't, you've got to want it because it's tough, and if you don't want it enough, you will leave it, type of thing. So this is how much do you want it? Yeah.
And with that iconic line, we'll end the show.
Peace.
Peace.
The end.